How is it going, guys? I hope you guys had a nice weekend. So, this is going to be an interesting week because everyone is now screaming of recession, and every time we take just a bit of a dip, everyone is screaming like from the top of their head or at the top of their lungs that this is the one where we go. And so far, it has never been the one where we go. What I could see is definitely some kind of let me just load the levels, like some sort of kind of correction, which is absolutely fine. We are now getting into like the lower kind of end of, like, we are coming up to the trend, down to the trend line. We're coming down to the bottom of that regression channel. So like it's definitely interesting to see, but I also feel like we might already like have an opportunity to start thinking about buying again. At least, like over the course of this week, at some point, I think, depending on, like how crazy this starts going, this could be good. I mean, like, just be aware that something like this could happen too. Something like this could happen, but I don't see a like that. This is, like, everyone's just getting scared now that we are gapping down, and everyone's blaming the coronavirus, and it's just this is the weekly chart, by the way. Let me remove those drawings. Um, um, and I'm not convinced yet. That's plain and simple what I'm thinking here. Like, we are, I think, the on the like on in the overnight session, we're already kind of recovering slightly. I mean, we can see it here. We're a fair bit off the lows. We are, I'm not saying we're not going to sell off, but I think everyone is panicking once again, and this might just open a buying opportunity. And even if we touch like that lower Celts this week, I think that might be cool. It might actually, like, give us a really nice bounce opportunity, at least into the middle Celt, or that 30 EMA here, and then we can still, like, watch and see whether this wants to correct a little bit further. Not that it's, like, bloody time for a proper pullback. When we look at, sorry, take that, the 3200 mark would be quite healthy, in my opinion, or even the 50% mark. After a run like this, like basically like almost straight up, just the way we had it here, like this. Let's see how far this one corrected, from all the way from the lows to the highs. It almost went to that 61.8 level as well. So I would, if this wants to be the correction that everyone is dead scared of, then watch out for the 3200 level. And if we break that and fall lower, that's when it can all start panic. That's a joke, by the way. Anyway, let's look at my watch list. There's still a few bullish plays in here, but because we like some stuff does look, like on the weeklies, they look like they might be due for a correction, and one of them is Amazon. I am today at the open. I am going to adjust my Amazon call spread. I'm going to roll the calls down, the short calls down, to change the deltas on this. For like, just looking at that weekly, I think this has had this since earnings. It had that run to the highs here, and now it's broken even those levels that I pointed out, for like that initial correction, done a bit of a double top here. So like the 2044 is the fib level, but I would not be surprised to even like see a retest of that 50%, which is it's funny how this is exactly perfectly the 50%, like the gap, the low of the earnings gap up is exactly 50% of how far it went. Sometimes it's really freaking interesting. So yeah, just watch out. I think this could have, like for a short-term move, if we today, if we get like a spike into the 2108, 2110 kind of level off the open, that might be a nice entry for a short down to the middle Celt. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking here. Autodesk, next one. On the weekends, I usually look at the weeklies as well, and this one is very interesting because I hate this company. Even though I work in the business, like for my work, I use their software, but I hate their customer service. I hate that they don't care about their entertainment products. They only care about their freaking construction products. Um, so I am hoping for, like a bit of a pullback for them. And it's broken this trend line that's been persisting since almost mid last year. So I think it could be time for this one to have a bit of a pullback as well. When you look at the fibs, like the 183 is getting close to that, like that level that we've had here from like the highs of last year. That could be a very reasonable level, I think, if this starts to sell off. Next one, Peloton. So it finally worked out, which I am very happy about. I am all out on my short. I'm looking to hopefully reload at some point. We got. You know what? I forgot to mention. We got that moving average crossover here as well, and now we are under the lows of that. Like that big kind of. I don't know if you want to call it a consolidation, but just price discovery here. So if this perhaps it wants to go a little bit further and then bounces back and retests lower Celt, or perhaps at that point retests the 14, that might be a nice short entry for another swing down into the 22 level in the next few weeks. MU, this one definitely failed at the trend line, and we see it on the weekly even better. At the weekly, like we look at these candles, 1, 2, 3 tests of that. It's also the 60 level. So I think retest of this is. Wait, let me put in the Celts real quick for this one, because I've just converted the 5-minute into. Wait, I'll do it like this. Well, get rid of this stuff. Okay, and weekly, and now we got the Celt in here. So like I think a retest of that 5150 might actually not be, or at least like the thing is, I feel like that low here, the consolidation level here that we have at 53 is almost, on the daily it looks okay, but on the weekly it looks a little bit close. But it's also, like it might be a test of that 14 on the weekly. So if we open up underneath that 30, which we likely will with the market gap down, then you could watch for a spike into the 30, into the middle Celt, and then perhaps look for a move into the lower Celt in the next few days. The daily here, we've already had a few red days. That's what I'm seeing here on the daily. But the main reason why I'm pointing this one out is because of the weekly. The weekly looks like it's also failed underneath the upper Celt here. It looks like we might see a bit of a correction. Teva, that's still a bull case for me. So depending on where that wants to go, see, like it came over the upper Celt, had like a red or consolidation week. Now it got back up. So with the market, I'm not sure, this is not really a market stock, but if we get a gap down, I would look for some kind of stabilization to add. I think I already have a long in Teva. Yeah, I have 26, the March 20th calls. I have a few of those, not too much, but I have some of those. What is it? The 15 calls I got. So yeah, that might be something to look at. Next one, and this is a big one in my opinion, Disney. I find that one very interesting for a short, because multiple time frames align. So the daily closed under the 200 here, just barely closed under, but it closed under. Which with the whole rejection of that middle kilt here, or fail back below, rejection of the moving averages here as well, I could see this to retest the lower kilt on the daily. And we are also, like we're also, we've tested the top of this channel a few times. So even on the weekly, I think it's almost even clear that this has failed the test of the top of this channel, and now it might want to like retest that lower kilt on the weekly as well. So perhaps a 135 to 136.50 kind of target, that might be very interesting for a short in the next few days and perhaps weeks. Next on Netflix. I love this one too. It's because just technically it looks so good, with the top of this range. And I would actually really like to see this pull back also on the weekly, where it tried to break out and failed back below that range, which is also the 400 level here. That's very close. So if we could go back and retest that 360, retest that upper kilt, retest perhaps the 14 after. You know what? Let me save the drawing set. Temp, and then I am going to delete all these drawings, so we have a bit more of a view of what's going on. So we have that level, right? So we've had a moving average crossover here. So a pullback into 360, upper kilt, 14 kilt. If you guys remember the sheets, I just studied them again on the weekend. Okay, after a crossover like this, the first pull, you might want to use, you could call this the first pull into the 14, so it might be the second pull, but it's still good. I think into the 14 is a really good opportunity to buy. So that's what I would really like to see with this Netflix, and then a breakout, and then new highs, and after this 2-year long consolidation, it would be really nice, just one last breather, one last, like a higher low. Like we also have like this kind of level here where we bumped against, over, under, bumped against it, then made it over, failed back below, bumped against it here again, and now we're back over. So if we could retest this 342 kind of level, 345, 342, that might be really interesting long. Okay, I'm rambling. Let's move on. Costco, another one that kind of looks like it might. The weekly doesn't look too bad yet, but I would still like to see a retest of the upper kilt, like a red candle at the upper kilt before this can go higher. Last week, we have this big move, so it might need a pullback anyway. We can use the 14 MA strategy here as well, because I think the upper kilt is a little bit too close. Just pullback. If you want to trade the pullback, trade it carefully, and then see how it holds the 14, see how it holds the middle for long entries. Target, this one looks bearish to me. Yeah, exactly, that's the one. So failed here at the middle celt once, two, three times now, failed the 14. The daily failed here at 30 as well, failed at the upper celt. So I could see a retest at least of the middle celt. If not, if we get below the middle celt here today, we could target actually the lower. So another one that looks quite interesting for a short. Next one, Adobe. This one has already pulled a little bit back, but what I'm seeing is this red day here. And what I'm also seeing is a daily earnings coming up. Oh, that's on the weekly. It's too far out. Doesn't matter for us. But definitely a retest. See, I even have an alert here. A retest of that trend line is definitely in the cards, in my opinion, after just freaking straight up. And let's draw some Fibonacci's here as well. Come on. It's not 100% here, but let me do it precise, because we need to be precise. So even 340, which would bring us down here to these 3 bars on the weekly where we've consolidated, it would also bring us down. Well, the upper celt is already a little bit over on the weekly, but it would definitely bring us down, like in a healthy territory for, like some consolidation and then back up. And also, like short trades are fun as well. Take 2, I love this chart. So if you study maybe this stuff just sticks out to me right now because I've studied those sheets again on the weekend, but moving average crossover, testing the 14 perfectly. And from like this earnings move right into the 61.8 level. For me, it's just a red line, which is supposed to be the strongest level out of them all for like support / resistance. So that could be like a very interesting short as well for this week in take 2, because clearly like there's some fundamentals here that are not super okay either. And last one, Activision. That's actually one that I'm bullish on, and I could see, I'm just waiting for a pullback because the earnings were received okay, and we are running right into that resistance here. So if we get like a pullback both on the weekly and on the daily, I think that could be one to start looking at longs again in the next few weeks, unless the market, of course, goes crazy, but I don't think it will. All right, guys, that has been it. It's been 18 minutes, a bit longer. I'm sorry about that. If you liked the video, please like the video. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the notification kind of bell thingy, because we are trying to hack that YouTube algorithm. Guys, we've had an amazing meeting on the weekend, Nikki, ADG, and me, and there is some amazing stuff brewing for you guys. That's just a few weeks away, I think, if we can stick to our schedule. So stay tuned for that. And until then, you guys have a nice one, and I'll see you at the open. Cheers, guys.